Let's say you want to sell a $10 steak or $100. You don't need a better cow. You don't need a better farm. All you need is this. And right now, factories are turning $4 buffalo meat into $60 Wagyu masterpieces. And they aren't even hiding it. Today, I'm pulling back the curtain on the Meltique machine, a multi-million-dollar industry built entirely on a visual illusion, where the mechanical engineering is deliberately disguised to look like rare genetics. Because here's the truth. If you've ever ordered the Wagyu burger for 20 bucks, you haven't tasted Wagyu. You've tasted a lie. While authentic Japanese beef is a work of art protected by nose prints and DNA registries, the stuff on your plate is likely Wangus. Yeah, you heard that correctly. It's Wangus, a genetic hybrid designed to rob you. And if it's not Wangus, worst case, it's larded beef. Cheap meat literally injected with fat to mimic the marbling of a national culinary treasure. But there is a biological smoking gun that these scammers can't hide, a scientific test that reveals the truth in 5 seconds. But to understand exactly what that test is exposing, we first have to unpack the shady economics behind the 46.9% rule and why your local restaurant is legally allowed to lie to your face, making your $100 steak a total ripoff. Here's the reality check. In Japan, Wagyu is a matter of national sovereignty. It's 100% pure, no exceptions. But in the United States, the USDA treats the word Wagyu like a suggestion rather than a standard. Unlike Prime or Choice, Wagyu isn't an official quality grade. It's a breed claim. That technically is the hole in the fence that allows the entire heist to happen. Most American Wagyu in grocery stores isn't Wagyu. It's a crossbreed, what the industry calls an F1 hybrid. Welcome to the Wangus loophole. Here's how it works. They take 100% full-blood Japanese bull and breed it with a standard American Angus cow. The result is a 50% hybrid, a Wangus. Because it hits that 50% mark, the USDA allows them to slap a Wagyu label on the package without mentioning Angus at all. This hybrid grows faster, gets bigger, and costs way less to raise than a purebred Japanese cow. But the quality is significantly diluted. You're paying a 300% markup for a cow that's half Angus by design. It's like buying a Rolex with a $5 plastic movement inside. Sure, it tells time, but it's not what the label promised. And while grocery stores have some rules for labeling, restaurants have effectively none. This is the restaurant loophole. Menus are exempt from the rigid labeling requirements of retail packaging. That means a chef can buy a standard choice steak, write Kobe style or Wagyu on the menu, and legally, they are almost untouchable. In 2016, Inside Edition found that 9 out of 10 New York City restaurants claiming to serve Kobe were serving domesticated fakes. They were betting on the fact that you can't tell the difference. And honestly, most people can't. But Wangus is just the honest part of the Wagyu scam. Because while some producers are diluting the genetics, others have moved past biology entirely. They have found a way to create that melt-in-your-mouth texture without a single drop of Wagyu blood. To see how deep this rabbit hole goes, we need to look at the needles. So, if the Wangus loophole is a legal gray area, the Meltique is a dark industrial secret hidden in plain sight. Most people assume marbling is the result of years of careful breeding. But in a factory owned by Hukabe Company in Japan, they realized nature is too slow for the global market. So they replaced the cow's metabolism with a machine. The process is called artificial marbling or piqûre. Here's the heist. You start with a lean, tough, dirt cheap piece of beef, usually older dairy cows or cuts that may end up in dog food. You run that meat through a machine equipped with hundreds of microscopic needles. These needles aren't just tenderizing. They are connected to a high-pressure reservoir filled with a fat emulsion. This is a chemical cocktail: canola oil, beef tallow, and milk proteins to make sure the oil doesn't leak out. They are literally tattoo marbling into the cut of meat. When the meat comes out, it looks like a Wagyu masterpiece. To the untrained eye, it has that snowflake webbing of a $200 A5 ribeye. But here's the forensic tell. Nature doesn't work in straight lines. In real Wagyu, fat branches out like lightning or tree roots. It's chaotic. The Meltique steak, the marbling is uniform. If you see white dots, you're looking at needle entry points. And the taste? Well, real Wagyu fat melts clean. Meltique fat is canola-based. It feels waxy and leaves that coating in your mouth that tastes like industrial oil. The business model is genius and terrifying. They take a $5 cut, spend $1 on processing, and sell it to the wholesaler for $25. The wholesaler flips it to your bistro for $35, and you pay $100 for a Wagyu experience manufactured in a factory. They call it consistency. I call it devaluing the very concept of quality. And this is happening globally, labeled as Meltique beef or just hidden under premium names. But even the factories are limited by the meat they can source. Now, to understand why there's such a shortage of the real thing, let's go back to 1997, the moment Japan realized its national culinary treasure was being stolen. And real Wagyu is a genetic fortress. For decades, Japan kept these cows under a total export ban. But here is where the Wagyu bottleneck began. In 1976, that fortress was breached by a researcher named Morris Whitney. He imported 4 bulls: Zea, Mount Fuji, Judo, and Rusha. But here's the catch. That birthed the Wangus machine. Japan didn't send any females. For 17 years, the American industry was just 4 bulls bred with American Angus cows. Then came the golden window. In 1993, entrepreneurs successfully exported 5 Japanese black females. This was the holy grail, the ability to produce 100% full-blood calves in the US. But the Japanese government woke up. They saw their national treasure being diluted by foreign industry. So in 1997, they slammed the door shut. They designated Wagyu a living national treasure and banned all exports. No live animals, no semen, no embryos. This created the most extreme genetic bottleneck in food history. Today, every single 100% full-blood Wagyu cow outside of Japan is the descendant of just 221 original animals. That's the entire global gene pool. In the US, full-blood Wagyu makes up approximately 0.03% of the population. Now, you do the math. If you see Wagyu on every street corner and fast food menu, it's statistically impossible. The industry is surviving on a genetic ghost. They take that fraction of 1% of Wagyu DNA and stretch it across millions of hybrids to justify a luxury price tag. They sell you the romance of Japan, but serve you an industrial feedlot. This is where the marketing ends and the science begins. If you want to know if you're being scammed, you just need to understand thermodynamics. The defining characteristic of Wagyu isn't just marbling, it's the chemistry of the fat. Standard American Angus fat is made up of saturated stearic acid. It melts at roughly 104 degrees Fahrenheit and 40 degrees Celsius. But authentic Japanese A5 Wagyu is a different breed. It contains high concentrations of monosaturated oleic acid. Now say that 3 times fast. It's the stuff in olive oil. This fat melts as low as 77 degrees Fahrenheit, 25 degrees Celsius. That's significantly lower than your body temperature. So here's the foolproof test. Take a piece of raw Wagyu and hold it in the palm of your hand. That heat from your skin, 91 degrees Fahrenheit, 32 degrees Celsius, is more than enough. It should glisten and dissolve instantly, like high-quality chocolate. If it stays solid for after 15 seconds, you're looking at Wangus at best or a Meltique fake at worst. But there's an even simpler test for US consumers. Look at the bone. Because of strict USDA regulations regarding foot and mouth disease, all authentic Japanese beef imported into the US must be boneless. If a steakhouse offers you a bone-in Japanese A5 tomahawk, they're lying. It's a physical, statistical, and legal impossibility. Real Wagyu is chemically closer to a liquid than a solid at room temperature. But as the price climbs to $300 a pound, scammers are moving beyond genetic dilution. In some places, they've stopped using beef altogether. They moved on to an openly criminal extreme uncovered just last year. Up until now, we've talked about the legal hustle. But in late 2025, the Wagyu scam crossed into organized crime. It started in Hanoi, Vietnam. The country was importing tons of frozen buffalo meat from India. But that buffalo meat was vanishing the moment it crossed the border. You couldn't find it on any menu. On September 19th, 2025, the Hanoi police raided the Hita food joint stock company and found the answer. Workers were taking cheap dark buffalo and running it through industrial larding machines. They were forcing fat essence of chemical powders and oils into the muscle fibers. In minutes, the tough buffalo was transformed into a snowflake, marbled Wagyu masterpiece. They sold it under the premium Hita-san brand for a 700% markup. Over 14 tons reached the market before the bust. The crazy part? Hita Food had been honored as a prestigious national brand just months earlier. The fraud was so sophisticated that it fooled the experts. And when a label becomes this valuable, the meat becomes irrelevant. They aren't just lying about the breed, they're lying about the species. But while scammers have needles and loopholes, Japan has an iron curtain of technology that the scammers can't fake. So, is Wagyu a culinary masterpiece or a $150 shakedown? It depends whether you have the tools and know-how to see through the scam. And if you want to be 100% certain you aren't eating a needle job, do this. If you're at a high-end steakhouse and the Wagyu price looks like a car payment, don't just hand over your hard-earned cash. Ask for the 10-digit identification number before ordering. Every single head of authentic Japanese cattle is assigned one at birth, and you can enter that number into the National Livestock Breeding Center's website. You'll see when it was born, what it ate, which farm it came from. It's a birth certificate and the beast's full history all in one. And if the waiter gives you that blank stare or tells you they don't have that paperwork, put the menu down and walk away. You aren't being that person. You're being smart with your money in a world that's trying to pick your pocket. Also, look for the universal Wagyu mark, the golden black seal Japan created to protect its brand. At the end of the day, the real Wagyu beef industry spent centuries building a genetic culinary masterpiece. And the industrial machine spent the last 30 years finding ways to dilute it, inject it, and fake it. And if a $20 Wagyu burger sounds too good to be true, it absolutely is. So don't be a victim to clever marketing. Your wallet and taste buds will thank you. And remember the test: the palm milk and the bone check. If the fat doesn't melt in your hand, don't let the money melt out of your wallet. Eat well, and we'll see you in the next one.